Alright then, so now delete that for a minute. I'm hoping I've got all the correct bits and bobos. I ain't even started. Okay, just need to put away some things I was using on the last square, which was my pattern weights. They're all little donuts, see? Love it. Anyway, they go away, that goes away. Why am I tidying up on camera? I don't know. Anyway, oh, and also, look at this. I didn't have a 12-inch zip. I got about 200 more, well, it's 100 near. I must have, probably then, if that's 100, I must have 500 zips. But I didn't have any 12-inch zips that I want for the little girls' dresses that we're making. So I went and bought a load. One day delivery from Amazon. 17 quid this was. There's 100 in there. And as Margaret and I worked out, each one 17 pence. 17 pence, yeah? Because I did look, if I bought one or two, no, I think it was one, from the cheapest I could find, an English company, was 2.85, and I thought, oh, I'm not paying that for it. 17 pence. I got 100. Right, okay, that's that then. Moving on, you've seen the video that I have put up about us making. I'm hoping I've still got all the bits and not dropped any on the floor anywhere. If I have, I'll have to quickly make them up again. But anyway, I really need to get on and make this Lillie star now. So the Lillie's star, our central piece. I am doing everything as a 4 patch. So if you look at the diagram, you've got 3 4 patches across the top. You've got 3 4 patches in the middle and 3 4 patches that mirror the top on the base. So I always start in the left hand top corner. So I've just laid out my fabric of how I want that to look. So these are 2.5 inch squares. These are going to be 2.5 inch triangles when I've sewn them together. If you're not sure on how to make a 2.5 inch triangle, then I have put up a video showing you several different ways of how to do it. So, you know, go and review that. And I've also, because with this Lillie star, there are an awful lot of seams. Already, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seams in just this one in this one. We've got nine patches to make, and in this one we've got 12 seams in this one 4 patch, right? So now, if you haven't already looked as well, go and have a look at a video I put up saying why my block may not be turn out the size I want it, and showing you how to really get into specifics of making your block fit, making precise cuts, making scant quarter seams, and this, that and the other. That will help you, all right? But very simply, for this block, we are literally going to put one shape. Hopefully you have by now cut precise shapes. So we're now going to put one shape on top of another, quarter of an inch. I'll iron that flat. Scant quarters, you know what I mean if you've watched my video, and then we'll come back and we'll put this together. Regarding these 2.5 inch triangles, or quarter size triangles that we're going to make into 2.5 inch squares to match the others, and also given my thoughts to you and saying to you about how to make your quarter-inch seam as precise as you can. I was showing you in the last video, you know, what most of you should have. You should have a quarter-inch foot that has a guard on it, and you should be able to move your needle to the right and set your machine up as if you're sewing to the right to give you that quarter-inch seam. Now, if you don't, then you need to mark your top with tape, something that gives you that quarter-inch seam against the side of your foot, whichever foot you're using. But then we take into account those 2 millimeters that make a difference. I've got this out, and I don't know whether this will come out on camera. I might have to delete it later, but we'll see. If I put my foot down, oh, you can't see that from there, but the outside of my foot, and I've changed everything. This is a high precision plate, and this is a high precision foot now, which Janome allowed me to use on this machine. If you've got a good brother machine, you should have something similar, high precision foot. It depends, but you have to work with what you've got, and you have to work around things the way you've got it. Remembering, I did not have all of these things initially when I first started out, but as you know, get better at your sport or your leisure, of course you're going to find things that will allow you to do things in an easier manner. Okay, you know, I didn't start off with 30 odd rulers. I started off with 2. But you know, as the years go on, and so then you progress. Yeah, I'm just narrowing my stitch to being about 180, which is what I like for piecing. I'd like it to be firm, and I'm using the outside edge of this HP foot to do my scant 1/4 inch. So I've done it on that one. Let me just, while we're chatting, plug my iron in actually, and turn everything on in that corner. Yeah, that's now heating up. And exactly the same with the next blocky. Remembering, we've got so many themes this time. It's not difficult, don't get me wrong. It's not hard to do. They're very short. But it's getting that scant quarter that makes the difference. You do not want a fat quarter. You really do want a scant quarter. I'm just ironing it in a way that the seam is towards the dark, because I don't like to see dark fabrics beneath light fabrics. So the way you do that is to keep the dark fabric on the top as you roll it back. Yeah. So now those are my 2 quarters, and I've got to look at the screen. I want one there. It's got to go like this. One there, one there. Where's this one go? Here goes, like that. So they're making a little, you know, flag or whatever like that. Yeah, and like that. That's how it's going to go together next. So, as with any 4-patch, now how big they are, the next thing that you need to do is to line one up on top of the other. Yeah, and this one, my 2.5 seems to be a bit bigger. So I literally, if that's the case, then I literally centralise it again under my needle and down the right hand side. That's my top half, and this is my bottom half, and again it's a little bit bigger, so I will centralise it. You know, so basically, if there is a fault, I am spreading the fault. You know, and letting everybody have a little bit of it. Right, so then I need to just quickly set the seam. I am using, this time I'm going to go over to the light blue. So I am using Orifil 50 weight in the top and Superior Threads bottom line in the bottom, which is 60 weight. That's what I'm doing, so that you know. And I'm ironing both of them towards the aqua, which then, as you know and I know, that when we look at the picture and see which way do you want to go, that way, that way, that way, that they're actually facing opposite, because if I iron them both the same way, they're now opposites, aren't they? So then we have to put our opposite seams together, yeah, and we look at it. I hope I'm in shot for you. So then we match up our central seam and pop a pin in it. You see, this is how I normally work at the machine. I don't normally work on the table when I'm doing this, so I am just like, yeah, are you there? Yeah, you are. Right, you're great, you're great, you're great. And then, right, you need, and I want to know that this bit is going to make a good line this way, and this bit is making a fairly good line that way. Check my seam again. Yeah, I'm liking it. Put it under the needle. Off we go. Off we go, off we go, off we go, off we go. Right? Right. Take my pin out, shove that back. I'll just do a quick set the seam, and I'm ironing it up. It doesn't really matter which way you do it, but I'm ironing it up for those of you who want to know, right? So I'll bring this back to you now so you can see, hopefully. So they're nice cross in the centre, naturally, because I pinned it, and that's the first block on the left top. Now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly the same. So you can go ahead and make 4 of those exactly the same. So you've got those out of the way. Right, so as I said to you, just make 4 of them, and I have, yeah. Now, this is me being me. These are going to be outside corners. Which way up it is, because I haven't got it up on my screen. Let me just put it on my screen so I can see. A minute. Bed runner. Da 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 da. Oh yes, that goes like that. That goes like that. Like that. Like that. Right. So now they're the right way round. So these are our outer edges we've done. Just made 4 all the same, turned them round. That's fine. But now there's one of these that I deliberately. Oh no, well actually a few. I can say that one I did perfect. That one I did perfect. That and that one's not so good. And I did make a narrower hem. I did deliberately on that one sew it in this manner. Sounds like, oh, here's your excuse, but no, I did, because I want to show you, like, if you have mucked up and your seam is too narrow, if it's too short, well, you can't add anything on. But if it's too narrow, you can certainly take it off, yeah? As long as it's not too narrow that you haven't caught your fabric, you know, your fabric needs to be caught, yeah? So, but each of these individual blocks should now measure 4.5 inches, if my mathematics are correct. So I can put on a 4.5 inch square up ruler, which this is as well, yeah, and then that white line is 4.5 inches, and then you know how bloody fussy I am, right? And then I can take off 4.5. What am I taking off? I know, slithers, isn't it? But I bet you this goes mad. Right, so 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. 4.5. Yeah, I knew that would. So there we are. I've turned it, cut it. See? Oh, I know. It's nothing, is it? It's nothing. But it is to me. So you may say, well, you know, how precise do you need to get? Well, and also by doing this, if you see, I like to start off with things being square. Now I know it's square. It's only a slither, but now I know it's square. And you think to yourself, oh, why is she doing this? Why is she doing this? Because if I know that it starts off right, then I'm not impounding the problem as the whole thing gets bigger. And also, if I've made it too small, it'll be really obvious right now. Yeah, so that's 3. I'm just looking at the 4th. I'm just measuring up. That looks alright. Yeah, that's alright too. So I just double check my work as I go along, because literally if it turned up far too small, I'd have to unpick it and start again, because I don't want to make the problem any worse the further into the quilt that I go. So our next block that we need to make is, the central block is a flying geese. Hang on, where's my pieces? Come on, I had loads of them just now. Yeah. Flying geese, so that's the bottom. I need a white flying geese for the top. Have I got one? That's too big. I got mixed up squares here. That's not right. Here we go. There. So that's going to be a flying geese, which is going to have 2 2 bits like that towards it, and then the bottom bit is going to go on like that with some greys on mine. But you know, you've got to use whatever colours you've chosen. But my next block across my top is going to look like that. So this is the second block in from the left, and it's going to look like that once I've sewn it together. So as with any flying geese, I've got to turn it right the right way to work it for me, just how I like it. Right, so the long diagonal is what you're sewing. So the long diagonal across there, making sure your edges are lining up and your sides are lining up. Sew that 1/4 inch, then get it out of the way by ironing it back, and then this piece will come on over the top. Yeah, fit it on, lovely. Yeah, and naturally this 1/4 inch seam will take up a bit of that to give you your 1/4 inch at the top. That's your flying geese at that one. And then again, I'll turn this around because it's easier to sew, and I'll do exactly the same with this. Yeah, line everything up, straight edge, and the same with that side. Scant 1/4 inch. We're beginning to know what scant means. Not quite 1/4 inch. White one with navy blue. So first of all, my navy blue fitting on my white. Yeah. I cut under the needle. Scant 1/4 inch. fold the back. Yeah. The other navy blue. See, now I folded it back, I can put the other side in, and of course, like it'll all, this side should match, this side should match, yeah, and obviously your sew line should match. Again, under needle, scallop quarter. Set the seam. Set it back. Right? Now, so that is one flying geese done. It's going to look that way up to me, but it's going to look that way up to you on the pattern. Yeah, yeah. So the white is the top. Yeah, one flying geese done, and the next flying geese on mine is with the navy blue point down, and it doesn't matter. You sew them all the same way, right? So as I said, match it up. This matches, that matches, this matches. Hopefully you cut them nicely. Mine are all cut using the Creative Grids, what do we call it? Corner clipper, easy corner clipper. Oh, I don't know what it's called. Anyway, so there's the one. Then naturally, again, that corner, so everything's lined up there, everything's lined up here, and that's in place. Yeah. Again, scamp quarter. Set my seam, peel it back, hold it, let it press. Yep. Right, so that's my other flying geese unit done. Now, so to make them work, need that at the top, need this at the bottom, because we're making a deep V. Yeah. So now, over the top, there's nothing to match up, nothing. So hopefully if you've sewn it well enough, and you know, equally as enough, equally, what's the words I'm looking for? They should match. The only thing I would say to here, if I can get my pen, the last thing we want to do is to lose, oh there he is to lose that point. If we lose that point, then we're not doing too well. So that's the only, there's nothing to match up, it just, do not lose your points. Reminds me of Queen's Hall. Do not lose your head. But anyway, do not lose your points. So match it up. As you're sewing along, if you notice that your needle is not going to go through where you just marked, then slightly adjust your material outwards so that you do sew through where you want to sew. And then slightly move your material backwards so that you end up with an equal seam on the other end. Now I know that seems daft, but basically I have, well you can see, I have not sewn a straight line, but I sewn straight, moved it around, and then came back down. Yeah, so it's got a bit of a bend in it, but the whole point of that bend, right, so the whole point of that bend in that seam is that I do not lose or cut off my point here, right? But anyway, so that's that one done. Now on, so for your point of view, it looks like this, white at the top, colours down here. So we basically got to make 4 of these, right? And after we'd made 4 of these, another 3 of these, the only thing left to do will be the centre block. So another 4 of these. just found a bit of material, yeah, and of course it is like a piece of paper, because that's how I do it, isn't it? It's something I cut before, and I don't like wasting fabric, so I know I want 3 3/8 for a central square, so I'm just checking it is, yeah, it's more than that. So on my ruler, I've had a bit of white, hang on my ruler, let's show it back up. At this ruler I've got an 1/8 and a 1/4, so added together that's 3/8, yeah. So if I put my 3/8 line, I don't know whether this is square, we'll find out. It'll be square when I measure it all up. Not quite square, but if I put my 3/8 line, this outside, because that's a 1/4 and that's an 1/8, so that's 3/8, more or less, yeah. I know I got plenty to play with. So if I do, hang on a minute, I want to do, first of all I've got to do a naught cut. I've got to straighten it up, I've got to do a naught cut. Right, so now I've straightened it up, get rid of the nasties, right? I guess I should straighten it all up before I go anywhere else. It seemed prudent. Yeah. Just, you know. This is how I go, isn't it? I do like to know that I am actually working with a square before I start. Right, so if I put my now squared up outside dotted line, so that gives me 3/8, I can cut on a 3 because that'll be my 3 and 3/8, yeah, okay, and then I can turn it and cut. I know one end looks straighter than the other to me, so I just turned it again. I can turn it with my dotted line on the outside and cut on my 3, yeah. So now I know that is, I know it's going to have to go on point, and I know I should have fussy cut it, but I'm not that worried at this point for this bit. That's my 3 and 3/8 square. If you, obviously if you haven't got one of these, you're going to have to do it with a again, it's better with white underneath it. I have to do it with a ruler like this, and then from the edge you're going to have to count like 1 in the corner, so 3, that's 3 1/4, that's 3 and an 1/8 past the 1/4, so that would be your 3 and 3/8. You have to do it like that, okay? I just find it an awful lot easier because I've got one that I can, you know, really use. So that's how I do it. Anyway, so that's my 3 and 3/8 square. And again, using exactly the same as we've cut before. I've got enough now. I need 4. 1, 2, 3. That's been sewn. Don't tell me I've sewn it and I haven't got one. Come on, guys. There must be a spare one here somewhere. Ah, yeah, right. Then I need my 4 bits and bobs, right sides together, literally in this fashion, yeah. And so that side, then the opposite side, making sure that they are following the central line, yeah. And then back, then I can put on this one, because those are behind out now, and then following it by that one. So a 1/4 inch, scant 1/4 inch all the way around.